without question, the hardest putt in golf is a straight putt. There's nothing harder than a straight putt because you're always trying to read something into it one way or the other. But if you have a green that's got 0 to 3% slopes, all that is pretty cuppable that you'll experience on a golf course. It's okay to have some modelness and some movement in the green for some longer putts. Bigger putting greens are better, obviously because you have a little more flexibility with some slopes. But when it comes down to putting, most people that are working on their game just want to hit putts with a cup of break, inside or outside, plus or minus. That's how you're going to improve.
Hi, this is Wes Smith from Los Angeles, California, and I love playing the Wilson course in Griffith Park. This is Golf Smarter number 922.
The architect of Michael Jordan's ultra-exclusive, ultra-private golf course, Bobby Weed.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Bobby.
Thanks, Fred. Good to be with you this morning.
Good to be with you, too. I'm very excited. I like talking about golf course design. I think that the amateur golfer can learn so much from hearing what a course architect thinks about when they're designing a course to help them improve how they approach every time they go out. So I'm really looking to pick your brain today.
Sure. I love talking golf. I love talking design, construction, maintenance, all things golf. Anybody that's a friend of golf is a friend of mine for sure.
I've heard that one before, and I love it. I want to get I want to start by getting the elephant out of the way, and that is a project that you've worked on recently. I'm not sure if it's still in progress or what the story is, but Grove 23, the golf course you're designing for Michael Jordan.
Wow, yeah, that's in the rearview mirror as far as projects go, but pretty vivid because it was such a great experience. I think we started that project in 2017 and worked on it through 2018, and it opened. We had a grand opening, Super Bowl party grand opening in 2019, if I recall, and it was a really good project. My new associate was an intern then, Joey Graziani. That was his first job. I took him over to the Medalist to look at what we had done there. And he met Tiger Woods, spent a little time with Tiger at the Medalist, and then we went over to the Grove and ended up meeting Michael Jordan. And I looked at Joey and I'm like, Joey, this is not an everyday experience. This is not the norm, but it was a lot of fun.
And how is it that you got hooked up with Michael Jordan for this?
We had some mutual friends. Michael was a member at the Medalist, and I had redone, renovated, and restored the Medalist more closely back to what Pete had done in 1995. And the course had gone through a number of changes, transformations, et cetera. And so I came in and ultimately received the assignment, and that's where I met my MJ and some of his friends. And when it came time for him to do his golf course, my name was brought up along with others that he had already talked to and interviewed. So I was able to get in front of him, and so he was familiar with some of my golf courses. And of course, I'd met him at the Medalist, and a few other mutual friends that were involved in the project encouraged me to come and speak to him, and I did, and we did some routing plans, and it just all came together. It worked out really good.
Really good. So were you auditioning? Were you competing against other architects on this one that you had to win the job, or was it yours from the start?
I don't know how much of a competition it was, but yes, MJ had talked to a number of other very prominent architects. And so my partner at the time, Chris Monty, and I did some routings and presented some routings, and they were actually intriguing and unique and different in the fact that it was kind of a double helix, so that you could. We had 2 9s, but we had a crossover from number 4 to 5, and from number 13 to 14, a little crossover there. So you could literally play 1 through 4, and then just walk over and play 13 through 18, or play the back 10 through 13 and cross over and play 5 through 9. So in essence, you could play 4 different 9s, and that really caught everybody's attention. And the site was kind of a square-like configuration of about 227 acres. It was a former citrus grove that had grown over, and there was cattle out there at this time, and it was a mess. It was a real mess. And feature,
because of the cattle?
Well, just the property had just sat fallow for decades, and somebody had tried to start a bit of a tree farm. But the 2 distinguishing factors, because we talked about 2 sites. And so I was able to interject and offer my opinion on which site. And I chose a site with 2 really big agricultural drainage canals on 2 sides. And I thought that could be a potential benefit from a drainage standpoint, obviously, but also from a feature. And it was a really big drainage ditch, probably 50 feet wide and 20 feet deep. And but the cattle had been up and down it, and it was just silted in, degraded, but it still functioned for agricultural purposes. But I thought in my mind that working with Pete for as long as I have, that he too would find something intriguing about these canals, and plus it adds a lot of security on 2 sides. So so that's kind of the site that I recommended, and they bit on that, and they liked our routing, and off we were.
Wow. Is assuming this is in Florida?
Yes, South Florida, just north of Palm Beach in Hobe Sound.
And is this all Michael Jordan's land? Is this a very private, very exclusive thing that it's in Michael's backyard type of thing?
It is.
Wow, that's a lot of land.
Well, there was a lot of land up there. It was a former defunct project that was the Hobe Sound Polo Club. So it had a lot of acreage associated with it, and it didn't make it. And so this thing was parceled out, and MJ subsequently bought that particular parcel, and today there's probably 5 or 6 more golf courses being constructed right around us as we speak today. So all of a sudden, as property there's really no available property in Palm Beach County. So a lot of the development has just moved north towards Stewart, and so you go from Palm Beach up to Jupiter, and then from Jupiter up to Hobe Sound, and then from Hobe Sound on up to Stewart on the east coast of Florida. And while we're not on the ocean and we're not on the Intracoastal Waterway, we're in some old farmland, former citrus groves, and and we're not too far off of the Interstate I-95. So we're in that little corridor in Hobe Sound, Martin County, and that's where a lot of growth and a lot of development is migrating north out of the Palm Beach area today.
We have another program called Golf Smarter Mulligans where we replay old episodes that are just no longer on the internet anymore, but they're still of interest and of value for amateur golfers to learn things. And recently replayed an interview I did with Jeffrey Brower about his course in Dallas of the Cowboys golf course, an NFL-themed golf course. In working with MJ, did he have any themes that he wanted to cover, or were there things that he wanted thematically on his golf course that represented number 23 that were unique?
No, but some of that evolved, and some of it was just happenstance. His instructions. We had a meeting early on, and it was like a little team meeting, and the coach came in, and we all were there. All the consultants were there, and he interjected as the owner, and said that just build me the best golf course, build me the best practice facilities. Don't worry about the clubhouse; it'll take care of itself. And he really liked our plan, and we're just one of many of the team members as far as consultants go. You have contractors actually doing the work that we oversee. We have surveyors that were out there. We had engineers that were helping us with the property and the drainage, et cetera. So they're all, and this comes with this is typical of any golf course project on a new design, and even renovations to some degree. So you put together a team of consultants, and it was really interesting because we were all in this room for a meeting, and MJ was kind of holding court and interjecting, how excited he was, and he wanted to be involved. And of course, I said, look, you come out here as often, as frequently as you would like to. I'd love to go because 70% of what you're spending out here is really going to be underneath your golf shoes. And I said, I think it would be great for you to come out and see. And I'll be dogged. He came out as often as he could. He'd come out once, twice a week. And ride with us on the golf course, and
you had to be on your toes.
And from the very beginning, when it was just nothing but scrub, and we just had PVC pipe sticking up, and I'm like, "This is the clubhouse, and it'll be at elevation 23, and and here's what we envision." And we had gone over the routing plan, but now to be out in the field and seeing this vast amount of acreage. It was a little overwhelming, for him to see the site in the condition it was in, and to visualize, what it might be in 12 months. But as he came out and we started going around, and we started digging lakes, and we started moving dirt, and started shaping, and a lot of activities were going on. We had drainage underway. We had irrigation that started after we got holes shaped in, but he was able to come out enough and see things like the irrigation lake and the pump house, and little things that that you'll never see again, that were so meaningful at an early juncture. So he came out and he was excited, and I think he really enjoyed the process of being part of the gang out there. And it was going to be the shiny new toy for him. And just like when you wake up on Christmas morning as a kid, man, you're just so excited. And that's kind of the way he was when he came out. He was full of energy, and pumping everybody up, and meeting and greeting, and just being one of the gang.
He loves being on a team. We're going to take a time out. Well, I have more questions about this project, and we'll do that right after this. I have so many more questions to talk about the Grove 23, Michael Jordan's golf course. So is this, it's obviously not a public course, but are there memberships available for this golf course, or is it just Michael's backyard, and if he invites you out to play, you get to play?
No, there's a membership. There is a membership. It's invitation only. Invitation only. And Michael is integrally involved with the process. And Ken Wyan is the GM, director of golf, and very much involved in the whole process, as is MJ. And I can't tell you how many members we have, because I really don't know.
Okay. I thought you had to sign an NDA to talk about it.
No, not at all. I truly don't know. We're a few years removed from when we opened in 19, and but it's been wildly successful.
Awesome.
We've now built some cottages.
Wow.
The membership has grown. The initiation has escalated somewhat as well. So no, it's I think it's been everything. For somebody that can have anything and everything he wants, and be anywhere he wants to be. I was down there a year or so ago, and I knew MJ was playing. I walked out to number 9 green, which is adjacent to the clubhouse, and I waited for him to putt out. And he had a big group that he was playing with, and he came and gave me a big hug, and he just leaned down and said, I can pretty much be anywhere I want to be in the world right now. He said, but there's no place I'd rather be than right here playing golf with what you created. So, I mean, that says it all right there. So, I mean,
that's quite a compliment.
We've been good friends. I mean, I can pick up the phone or call him or text him, and he'll, as busy as he is, what all he has going on. He's just a great guy, and just, I don't know anybody that loves the game of golf more than he does. He's very passionate, and he typically gets involved in something. He's involved now in fishing. He loves to fish now. All of a sudden, last few years, he's really gotten into fishing. He now has a NASCAR race team. So whatever he does, he jumps in right into the deep end. And goes at it really, really all in, and that's just his nature. He's just an incredibly competitive individual, and as a result, he's become extremely successful in the business world.
I see. You mentioned that the clubhouse. Did you say the elevation is at 23 feet?
Plus or minus, yeah, above sea level.
Well, that's pretty cool. You must have loved that. What's the square footage of the clubhouse? How big is it?
It's not extravagantly big in any way. It comes across as one story. Now, obviously, it has a full basement for all the golf carts and other related services. But it's very open. It's a wonderful contemporary progressive style clubhouse. The architects down in South Florida did a wonderful job. This big locker room, big seating area, dining area, lounge area, very comfortable, and just exactly what you would think coming from MJ. Very hip, got a great vibe to it, and everybody there just loves to be there.
Amazing. And is it just the golf course, or did you also get to prepare a practice facility for him?
We have some world-class practice facilities. I've had a little association with Butch Harmon over the years, doing some work together. And Butch called me up after we opened. He said, "Bobby, I hear the golf course is great. I heard the practice facilities are the best on the planet." And I'm like, "Butch, you've been around the planet a lot more frequently than I have." I said, "But that's, everybody seems to really enjoy it. It's state of the art. And is a real draw for a lot of the tour players that live down in that area.
Really?
Come up and practice. It's just it's like nothing else anybody's ever seen. And
I'd love some details. What makes it unique?
Well, I worked with Darren May. Darren May had a concept called EBC, Every Ball Counts. He developed this concept using a lot of the ShotLink data that the PGA Tour has produced. So today, as a tour player, you really know exactly where you stand ranking wise as to your game, how you rank in inside of 100 yards, and then in 25-yard increments. Beyond that, you always know how you rank in putting and up and down. The stats that are associated with ShotLink is just mind-boggling. How much data is available? How long? The longest drivers and just everything you can imagine. So Darren and his partners put together this concept that they could take this data and build a facility to where we built target greens with 25-yard increments, and we separated each green into quadrants. And he's got all of this. He's got this program he's put together that you can go out there and work. If you're deficient in your shots from less than 100 yards, 75 yards, 50 yards, you can really go out there and focus and tune in on that. We built an engineered green, which is basically a rectangle, and we have 4 quadrants in this rectangle. In one quadrant, we have the green sloping from 0 to 1%. We have 1 to 2%, 2 to 3%, and 3 to 4% in a quadrant.
Wow.
So, just little, it's an engineered green that you haven't seen many of like that. We have little ramps and runways to hit bump and run shots. We have situational greens with bunkers that really test the skill level. And what I really like about it is, yes, it's set up to assist the best golfers in the world, as on the PGA Tour, but also from a college standpoint, even from an AJGA standpoint for these juniors, and even for the members, they can go out there and get feedback. I mean, a member is going out there trying to hit the green, right? AJGA in college, or they're trying to get into these quadrants, and certainly the tour pros are focused on that. So it's designed and set up to where everybody can get feedback and results on what they're doing. And we have some fairways set up for the driving lanes. We have some crisscross X-shaped driving lanes. That we have fairways that are set up for U.S. Open width type fairways and wider fairways as well. So all of this is just providing feedback to the player. And of course, we have tees on both ends. So all of the EBC and all of the practice facilities and in the buildings and all the instruction that goes on is on one end of the range, is on the south end, and on the north end is really for members only and their guests. And we have some similar practice facilities on both ends. So it's a rather large acreage of practice area, and we can seed greens for bent grass, overseed for bent grass for practicing, and also for Bermuda grass. So we have a number of ways that players can come down and get ready for events, whether they're in the winter or in the summer as well. So it just goes on and on and on for practice facilities. But a number of architects have called and said, "Hey, can we go look at your practice facilities? Because we have potential clients that say we want something like that." So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool in itself.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you more about that. I want to take another break first, and then we'll continue this conversation.
Sure.
We'll be right back with Bobby Weed. I'm curious, Bobby, if there are elements that you've designed into Grove 23 or at the world-class practice facility that you've been able to incorporate to other projects since you've done that.
Well, yeah, we're just finishing a project in New Orleans at the old New Orleans Country Club, and we've taken a few of those elements. People like to practice a lot. It's almost become therapeutic for people to practice to hit balls because they all kind of understand now what Gary Player said many, many decades ago about the more I practice, the luckier I get. I always love that. I always love that comment, and it's so true. You get out of it what you put into it. And
right.
But at New Orleans, we have a very limited area. We don't even have a really full regulation range, but we were able to make a little more additional space available. We have a short game, a little 3-green short game area. That I tell people, if you were to go down there 2 and 3 times a week and practice around a short game, and we have 3 greens that you can hit from, you can hit up to 60-yard shots. That's where you're making up the shots, and that's where, with the right kind of practice, in my opinion, that's where shots will just drop from your hand. That's how you drop your handicap.
Absolutely.
Around, getting it up and down around greens, practicing over the top of bunkers, being able to hit the little bump and run shots, the little Texas wedge shots, the little flip shots, all of those little shots that you need. And the more you practice and get comfortable with that, I just think your handicap is just going to, continue to go down. So we've got a really nice short game area that we built there with 3 greens with room around to hit 60, 75 yard shots. We have a little wedge park area we built these really small, I would call them pancake greens, really small pancake greens. And my good friend Archie Manning just loves to come out there in the afternoons and just hit balls and practice. And again, I just think it's just therapeutic in so many ways. And I'll see him out there at the wedge park, just hitting these little 50-yard shots to these little pancake greens. So I've incorporated some of what Darren May and I built at the Grove, and I try to take that to some of my new golf courses or when I'm renovating facilities, because I understand more about practicing today than ever before. Because when I went to the Medalist and we redid some of their practice facilities, they've got maybe 20, 25 tour pros that are members there. And what I noticed is where you have humps and bumps and slopes surrounding a practice facility, that's the best grass on the area, because the players aren't going to practice on those kind of slopes. They're working on 2 things. They're working on repetition and they're working on their confidence. And that's how they practice. And they don't really want to go practice on big slopes, uphill, downhill, side slopes and everything else. They want to practice on something fairly level because they're working on their stroke, they're working on their confidence, and they're working on the repetition. And I learn a lot by watching these guys practice and play. I always have. And when you build a practice green, everybody wants to build a practice green with all these crazy contours in them, but you're not getting much out of it when you're having to hit putts with 2-foot break, 3-foot break. You're working on your stroke. You want to play it a little bit outside the hole, and we all know what the hardest putt in golf is. Without question, the hardest putt in golf is a straight putt. There's nothing harder. There's nothing harder than a straight putt, because you're always trying to read something into it one way or the other. But if you have a green that's got just, 0 to 3% slopes, all that is pretty cuppable that you'll experience on a golf course. It's okay to have some modelness and some movement in a green for some longer putts. Bigger putting greens are better. Obviously, because you get a little more, you have a little more flexibility with some slopes. But when it comes down to putting, most people that are working on their game, they just want to hit putts with, a cup of break inside or outside, plus or minus. That's how you're going to improve, I think, more than anything else. So I pick up on a lot of that and try to incorporate aspects of that into my design. I don't build a lot of deep bunkers around practice facilities, because when you're in a bunker, you actually part of practicing out of a bunker is seeing what kind of action the ball has when it hits, when it comes out of the bunker and it hits. How much spin does it have on it? Is it releasing? So you really don't want to be hitting out of a deep bunker that's blind, so you don't see it. Yeah, you're going to experience that on the golf course from occasions, and we can have something like that. But for the majority, we want to have bunkers that you can see what the ball is doing when you hit, for example. So just a lot of little minor miscellaneous things like that I think add up to help golfers. We all have big grass tees. I've never built a driving range tee too big. I've never built one too big. Uh, and more range tees now have mats on them, so for some inclement weather, or if you have an outing, maybe you put those folks on the mat so you don't destroy all of the turf. But
and the mats are getting better and better. And
so much
what
better.
what I'm finding on grass driving ranges is it's a lot of sand. So it's not really hitting it like you're hitting it out on the course.
Well, that's even more reason to have a bigger tee so that you have time for the turf to recoup, so that you are hitting on something other than a sanded area, because that sand can fly up in your face as well. And the mats have become much better. I mean, there was a time when nobody wanted to hit off those mats because it just shock a shock wave up your wrist and up your arms, and but they're much better today. I'll give them that. And while it's not the same, there's still good feedback from hitting balls off of mats. But ideally, you want to be on good close cut turf. Tighter the turf, the better.
Yeah, I've noticed for myself that when I'm hitting off of a good mat before a round in my warm up, that I'll play with a lot more confidence, because hitting off of sandy grass on a driving range tends to be inconsistent on what the ball does and what you do, and so it makes it harder to walk up to the first tee with a lot of confidence. And you talk about practice being so important. One of my favorite stories about someone who was an okay golfer, not great, but he was formerly a professional baseball player. He played in the major leagues. Mm-hmm. And I got a chance to play with him once. And he had just finished 6 months of recovery from shoulder surgery. But for the last 3 months, he was able to chip and putt. That's all he was allowed to do. And this was his first round back after practicing for 3 months on his short game. And it was the first time he'd ever broken 80. And I'm saying, yeah, it's all that short game practice, man. It's like helped you so much.
Yeah, break it down and look at the percentage of how many shots you hit within 100 yards of the green. And that tells you where you really should be practicing.
Yeah, absolutely. So last question about Grove 23, and I'm sorry to drag that out if it's an old project. Clearly, you finished it just in time before COVID hit, it sounds like. Oof. Are there any elements in that golf course that you really, really like, that you thought, oh, now this is cool? I've not done this before, or I like the way I incorporated this into this golf course?
Well, we have continuously moved the bunkers farther out over the years. There was a cartoon back in the 20s over in the British Isles where, I don't know who did the cartoon. I think it was in a Bernard Darwin book, that some cartoonists had put wheels under the bunkers. So they're talking about this in the 20s. The other thing they're talking about in the 20s was the advent of the steel shaft taking over the hickory shaft. Oh, it's going to change the game. And then the golf ball, going to the Haskell ball, and to the more modern ball. So, I mean, the topics that we talk about today are no different than generations past.
Interesting.
But the bunkers have changed dramatically. We have what we call angle turns, landing areas. And when Donald Ross was building golf courses, his angle turn were probably 600 feet, 650, 700 feet. And when I started working for Pete Dye, it seemed like the industry standard was, the landing area was 750 feet, 250 yards. And that's kind of where you start positioning your bunkers. Pete Dye, my mentor, was probably the first to go to 800 feet, probably the first to go to 850, and was the first to go to 900 feet as far as positioning bunkers. And then I think at the Ocean course at Kiowa, he went on out beyond that. So it's almost like we need wheels on our bunkers so we can move them on out. But when I was at the Grove, we were actually putting bunkers at 325 and 350. I never want to take the driver out of their hand, out of a player's hand. Certainly don't want to take the driver out of a tour player's hand. I want them to have that option. And I really like it when they put their hand on a couple of clubs, because now you're bringing the mental aspect of the game back into play beyond just the physical ability. So by giving the shorter hitters a more wider landing area, and as you go on out past 300 yards, tightening it up a little bit. Okay, so you hit it longer than I do, Fred. Okay, let's just say you hit it longer than I do. So I'm going to tighten that landing area for you a little bit more as you get farther out. Whereas the shorter hitters, I'm going to give them a little more room. They can potentially, hit a longer club and maybe keep up and catch up around the green. So, I think strategy is changing in design. Everybody's trying to compensate for distance. I don't want to be the one that builds the longest golf course. I like to still build short par threes and really long par threes. I just like the diversity, and I don't mind having a couple of short par fours that are even potentially drivable. We have one that everybody talks about up at the Travelers event in Hartford at River Highlands, number 15. It's a drivable hole, and we see people that can make 2. We see people that can make 6 on it. So it comes at a good time in the round. But building short, drivable par 4s is not as easy as it seems. There's a lot of strategy that goes into it. But strategy in general is important, and more important today because we're trying to combat the distances that people are hitting the balls today. And I think as an architect, it's an incredibly exciting time, because I think we can be part of the process, and I think we can be part of the solution going forward. And we're having to change our strategic design thoughts and building golf courses for a much wider range of golfers today.
Great.
Golfers, as a beginner, you can't start any lower than the basement, right? That's where a beginner starts. But man, the PGA Tour players and the world-class players, that ceiling just keeps getting higher and higher and higher.
Yes, it does.
So therein lies a challenge today. And as a result, when we sign on to do a new project, one of the first questions is, who's going to be playing the golf course? Who are we building the golf course for? Are we building this golf course to host a tour event? Because Pete Dye built a lot of golf courses where the clients, Landmark Land, Ernie Vossler and Joe Walser built, I think Pete built maybe 23 golf courses for Landmark Land. And a lot of them hosted a lot of PGA Tour events, including Kiowa. And it was before Pete put a shovel in the ground, he was told that golf course that had not been built was going to be hosting a Ryder Cup in 1991. And so that's pressure. But I think it's important to understand who we're building a golf course for. But
absolutely,
at the end of the day, first and foremost, we need to be building more fun, interesting golf courses with more options. Options create interest. And I'm a big fan of wider corridors, wider pieces of property, wider golf holes versus tree line, hole after hole after hole, tight. And because not everybody can hit it like Robin Hood, hole after hole after hole. Now, some tightness here and there creates diversity, and that's good as well. So I think it's a mix. Great golf courses have a tendency to when to step on the gas, and where there's a stretch of holes that are gettable. And then there are always going to be holes where you feel pretty good walking off with a par or a bogey net par. from a handicap standpoint. So, I think it's extremely important to understand our client and who we're building the golf course for, which I think is an important question. It is for me when we start talking about, the type of membership, type of club, I'd also like to know on renovation work, and I can get this information typically. Where's everybody playing from? What tees are people playing from? What percentage are playing the whites, the blues, the championship tees, and the forward tees? It's good to know that information because it's good feedback as an architect for us to understand how to set the golf course up and how to bill for the client, for the members, and for the resort guests, for the just as much information as we can glean from the owners that we're working for.
Wow. We're going to take one more break here, maybe one more. This is because we're getting so much out of you, and I just love spending this time. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans is the return of Dr. Joe Parent as we celebrate 10 years of his incredibly popular book, Zen Golf, Mastering the Mental Game. But as our conversations usually go with Dr. Joe, it's not completely serious.
Most people say, "Oh, I'll take that one." Now, that's an interesting expression. Don't you have to take that one? It's golf. They say, "Oh, I'll take it." I say, yeah, you have to take it. That was your shot.
No, you know what? I'm going to go out and play this afternoon, and I swear the first guy to say, "I'll take that," I go, no. Sorry, that one doesn't count.
That doesn't count. Yeah, you have to take it.
No, you can't take it.
I'll take it. No, you want to say yes. That's the way I hit it when I do a good routine and trust my swing. You say something that reinforces your preparation. So if you keep reinforcing the preparation, your preparation will keep being better. If you have a picture of the target and connection to the target and the shot you want to hit, that you've done your breathing and gotten settled, and if you reinforce them in the post-shot routine, then they'll keep getting better. If you just say, yeah, that's how I always hit it, that's a great confidence builder.
Originally published in 2012 as Golf Smarter number 331, it's no longer available on any podcast platform. So now it's episode 238 of Golf Smarter Mulligans with Dr. Joe Parent, author of Zen Golf, Zen Putting, Golf, the Art of the Mental Game, How to Make Every Putt, and his latest, Zen Tennis. So if Golf Smarter is one of your favorite golf podcasts, then please don't miss the chance to get 2 episodes each week with Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans. They're both available for free from wherever you're listening right now.
No, this is fun. I could do this every week. I could do this every month.
Okay.
I'm actually doing the state of Florida at more golf courses than anybody else. I think Palm Beach County has like 175 golf courses in the county. But we have chapters for superintendent chapters from all throughout the state. We have 7 or 8 chapters, and we have a magazine called the Florida Green that goes to all the superintendents and goes to board members, committee members, presidents, except club, anybody golf. So I started writing some articles, a feature article on a quarterly basis, or however many times they come out with the magazine. And I've actually kind of enjoyed writing some of these articles. I write them, towards the superintendent because that's my largest audience. But I think that the editors are trying to expand the base of who receives and gets and reads this publication. And so I'm trying to put a little more information in there that lends itself to board members, committee members, things like that, beyond just golf course superintendents, because we have a lot. I'm blessed to have been exposed to design, construction, maintenance, and operations, and I think that helps me having that diversity. I think it really helps me as a designer in every aspect, because I tell people all the time that design complements maintenance and maintenance complements design. Imagine Augusta National being maintained like the worst Muni you've ever played.
Yeah, right. Yeah, completely different.
Then again, there's a lot of golf courses that aren't maintained to a very high level, or maintained to a very high level, that don't have that architectural integrity. So there's a real balance between maintenance and design.
It's so interesting that you bring that up, because one of the questions that I wanted to discuss with you was, I read an article that it was 7 things that the maintenance crew wants amateur golfers to understand about how to keep your golf course in good shape. And I'm curious, I was going to ask you, name some things that a golf course architect wants the amateur golfer, the recreational golfer, to understand about the golf course, in their design. And by the way, as you write these articles, love to have you come on and talk about these articles if you want to do that. That would be a blast. But what are some of the things that as a golf course architect that you put in your design going, God, I really hope that the amateur golfer understands what I just did here?
Well, I would say probably one of the more important items is speed of play. It seems to be speed of play is dragging the game down a little bit, and the fact that we need to play faster. We need to play ready golf. So as an architect and designing golf courses, cart paths are very important as well. Minor deal, but a lot of golf courses require cart paths. I would love to build every golf course with no cart paths.
Really?
But so many rely on cart paths and golf carts and golf cart revenue that falls in with it. We have 2 criteria for cart paths: keep them out of sight and keep them out of play to as great an extent as possible. That's really the 2 criteria that we're always trying to provide, and also with the intent of helping speed of play. Bunkers, bunker placement, number of bunkers. Bunkers are so costly today until I think there's a little pullback on size of bunkers and bunker maintenance, and that maintenance cost gets ultimately handed down to somebody, and it's typically the consumer, being the player or the member. So I'm seeing maybe a different style of bunker, maybe less bunkers going forward, maybe other forms of hillocks and swales and hollows in lieu of maybe so many bunkers, because bunkers can slow down play as well. And positioning of bunkers, you really want to get these bunkers out there to where it's creating interest and a challenge and strategy. And there's an old saying that Pete, somebody we were having a conversation, and somebody asked Pete Dye, well, you don't need to put that bunker there. That bunker, you don't need those bunkers over there because that's out of play. And Pete looked at him and he says, not so fast. When you leave the tee, it's all in play. And truer words have never been spoken when you think about it. So bunkers, bunker placement, bunker size, cart paths, trying to minimize out of bounds. That's a function of the property. We're always trying to minimize forced carries to some degree. It's inevitable to have a forced carry at some point on the golf hole or through the golf course. But having forced carries hole after hole after hole, the majority of the people that play the game on the ground. And when you really peel back the layers, there's less than 20% of the people that play the game that have a valid handicap.
Wow.
which is an interesting stat. So,
Yeah.
while the players at the highest level, we turn the TV on and we're watching the PGA Tour week after week. We're watching the LPGA. We're watching these USGA events, and we're seeing golf played at the highest level. They're playing the ball in the air. Um, um, they don't really see bunkers in front of the greens like amateur does. Amateur seeing water in front of a green, seeing bunkers in front of a green. It just takes the air out of them almost immediately. Whereas the tour pros, they're in the air. They're flying.
They see their target, right?
Their goal is to get within close proximity of the pin. They want to know the exact yardage to the pin, whereas the amateur is 100% satisfied with hitting the green. That's all they want to do is hit the green. And if we keep putting hazards and penal areas in front of greens in the form of hazards and lakes and creeks and streams, it tends to slow the game down even more. And if these hazards aren't more defined, then they'll be poking around in there because you know what? Their bet is as much as the golf ball cost. People don't like losing golf balls.
No, they do not.
People don't like losing golf balls. It slows down play. So if you're going to have a penalty area, then it's better for it to be defined as you're either in the hazard or you're out of the hazard, either in the penalty area or you're out of the penalty area. So those are ways that can help. And I think we're all about trying to speed up the game.
Yes.
So those are just a couple of items that come to mind as to.
I've noticed that thick rough slows things down because you spend a lot of time looking for your ball if you're not familiar with the course or being in that area. Lots of, hitting the trees, hitting the ball out of bounds. And sometimes I wish marshals would, instead of just coming to tell us to pick up our pace of play, I wish they would stay out near the fairway and when the ball comes down, stick a little flag. If you see the ball going over to the rough, stick a little flag, stick something so you see where it is. You're the marshal. That's your job to pick up the pace of play. Help us out, right? If you notice that this group is slow, keep an eye on them and see how many balls they're hitting, to the right or the left or in the deep rough and stuff, and spending time looking for it.
You mean you don't have a gallery following you when you play that can point that out?
Oh, that's the problem.
Exactly. No, that's a good point. Let me tell you, thick rough is a big detriment. That's another great point, Fred. Nobody likes looking for golf balls. Nobody likes losing golf balls, and it truly slows down play. If you have a specific event, you can gear up if you need to strengthen the golf course or challenge it a little bit more and grow the rough up for an upcoming event. But for normal play, I'm 100% with you. I have clients that say, keep the rough up. We like the rough up. And frankly, it's just slowing down play and losing golf balls. And it's very challenging and very difficult. I'd love to have. We have built a number of golf courses where we have no rough, and frankly, it can play just as hard because nothing is there to stop the ball from running into more trouble. So there's another side to that, and it just goes back to who are we building the golf course for, who's playing the golf course on a day-to-day basis. But certainly, I think less rough is better. And if you have an upcoming event that you want to showcase and strengthen the challenge, then you can grow the rough up a little bit more.
Okay, I didn't plan it, but I'm going to take one more break because there's still another question I have about architecture, and then I want to talk about a topic that's close to your heart, and we'll do that right after this. I'm curious to know how you approach the difference between designing for or redesigning for a private course, a muni, and a resort course. Is there a difference?
Yeah, I think there is. Obviously, on a resort golf course, you're probably taking your wife or your family and on a vacation or some special occasion or some destination. And resort golf courses are tend to be more can be more memorable if they have a setting of being close to the ocean or some feature that is unlike where you might be at your home golf course. Resort golf courses can sometimes be a little more dramatic in their design and their layout and their features. Have some breathtaking opportunities to see some vistas throughout the property. I think resort golf courses probably do need to have a little element of intrigue that is, take advantage of maybe the location of the site and blend in with the resort amenities that you have. Municipal golf courses obviously are more about playing a higher volume of play, of number of players. You'll see more rounds being played typically on some of the municipal golf courses. And frankly, the better condition they're in, the more they're going to get played. And a lot of them are designed for speed of play, I think would help. And then, with the diverse memberships that we have today, we're all trying to build the best golf course, and we're trying to build a golf course that not only photographs well, because that translates into people accepting and courses getting recognized a little bit more. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me if it's a resort or if it's a municipal golf course, public golf course, or private golf course. We're trying to build the best golf holes. I don't want to leave a golf hole until I feel like, you know what, this is what we really want. And then the next thing that really coincides with designing any golf course is the level of maintenance associated with it. The better the maintenance of a golf course, the better it's going to be accepted, the more recognition it's going to get. Design complements maintenance, maintenance complements design. The more you put those two together at a high level, really elevates your golf course. And it doesn't really matter where you go. There's a golf course in Houston that Tom Doak built as a municipal golf course. It hosts and challenges the best players with the PGA Tour. I have golf courses that have a membership that host PGA Tour events, TPC Summerlin, River Highlands up in Connecticut. The Tournament Players Club at Sawgrass is a resort, and it hosts the Players Championship on an annual basis. And they're all great golf courses, but they're only being played for a tournament 1 week a year. As
Right.
Fuzzy Zeller used to say, we're on scholarship. We show up once a year for 1 week, and we're on scholarship. We don't pay. We're just there playing golf. Those other 51 weeks, somebody's playing that golf course and somebody's paying for that golf course. So, the site makes the difference so often. A lot of these resort golf courses that you go to are in some prime locations with some tremendous views and vistas, whether it be on the ocean or in the mountains, etc. But at the end of the day, our charge is to build as good a golf hole and golf course as we can and try to find a commensurate level of maintenance as high as it can be to showcase the golf course. We're all trying to achieve the same end result in just building the best golf course we can.
Yeah, I guess that should have been a fourth category, munis, country club, resort, places that the tour is coming. I guess that would also be included in that conversation. You and your wife started a nonprofit. I'd love to talk to you about it.
We have a nonprofit foundation called HEAL, HEAL, Helping Enrich Autistic Lives. And we're coming up on our 20th year. And we have an annual gala, and we have an annual golf tournament. It's called Bobby Weed Golf Gig. And we serve a 5-county area in North Florida. We live in North Florida. We live in Ponte Vedra Beach. And we have a profoundly autistic daughter who is now 25 years old, and it's been a massive challenge for my wife Leslie and myself. And we have 3 daughters. Haley is our oldest, Carly and Lanier is our youngest, and she is nonverbal, profoundly autistic, and we have struggled mightily. It was very private for so long. But starting a foundation 20 years ago, it allowed us to assist other families that were struggling like we were struggling. And the amount of gratification that it has returned and given back to us has really made our family stronger. It made me see a side of my wife that I didn't even know existed. My daughters are stronger today. We protected them mightily during the early years because we didn't know what autism was. We didn't know what we had here that we were dealing with. And as much as we were struggling, we knew that so many other families were struggling. And I dare say there's probably not a family in the country today that doesn't have someone within their family or extended family that has been touched by autism. The numbers are staggering today. It's been a great cause for us. We write grants to schools. We have 17 summer camps in the summertime for these children and young adults to give these families a break. Because it's so expensive to treat. And at one time I had 6 people on my payroll: occupational therapists, speech therapists, doctors, and just help. And it was just overwhelming, simply overwhelming. The one thing I learned as a parent, there is no end to what you will do for your child in need. There's no question. You will go to the earth's end to try to help your child and your children to get better. And that's what we have done, and we continue to be involved in that. So our foundation is a way to give back to our community, and you can go online to HEAL, Helping Enrich Autistic Lives, and you can learn a little bit more about what we do. And it's a side, while golf course design is my profession, but being involved in what we do with our foundation and with our family is just trumps everything.
Yeah, and you probably learned a lot about yourself and, like you said, your wife and your children.
No question.
Because of the gift that Lanier gives you.
Yes, no question about it. She has changed our lives, and she has changed and helped change so many others. She can now type. She can now type on her iPad.
Wow.
So we give iPads to a lot of schools, and it gives them a voice. And when our daughter started typing, it took me 2 years to really recite what she had said initially when she started typing. And as a result, we determined that she is genius, brilliant, smart. And we didn't know that until she started communicating. It's called facilitative communication. And she types one letter at a time. One letter turns into one sentence. One sentence turns into a paragraph. And she has a lot to say. And what she says is incredibly profound. And, it's given her a voice. And that's what a lot of these children need, is a voice.
Right. So you can know what they're thinking and give them an opportunity to communicate with you, because they do have a lot to say.
No question. No question.
That's
And
awesome.
thanks for asking, by the way. It's very
Oh,
close and dear to my family and to everyone that's around us.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, of all the contributions you've made to the golf industry, as significant as they are, congratulations. This is still a lot more important.
Pales in comparison sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like puts things in perspective for you.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Oh, well, thank you for that work, for you and Leslie. I admire your persistence and what you're doing for your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you for your time. And I'm going to take you up on bringing you back because we're just having too much fun talking golf, golf design, and how the amateur golfer can get better, become a smarter golfer.
Yes, it's endless. It's endless. I mean, we're all chasing the same dream and in pursuit of being better, getting better, and uncovering whatever little tips we can to get better. And I love all things golf.
A shout out to Wes Smith, our latest Golf Smarter ambassador, who plays at the Wilson course at Griffith Park in Los Angeles. Wes, I was really hoping to play with you while I'm in LA, which I am right now. But Joanne and I are babysitting our grandchildren for 2 weeks, and there's no childcare help in place these days. So we're on duty full time. So as far as our drive down here, I was planning on bringing my clubs. But once I realized that both kids are in daycare for a short time each day, golf got pushed to the side. So to all those young moms and dads who love to play golf but have to give it up when you have small children, I get it. But don't despair. They grow up. And as I've heard countless times from our Golf Smarter community, golf can return to your life. I promise. So Wes, I really hope we stay in touch because I've never played at Griffith Park and hope that we can do it together in the near future. Now, Wes chose to receive Tony Manzoni's video of The Lost Fundamental, which, as you can tell each week, there are 2 other great gifts that you can get for free, but Tony Manzoni's video seems to be the hands-down favorite. And did I mention that in going through our list of past episodes preparing Golf Smarter Mulligans, I found an episode with Tony that we've never replayed? Well, I've decided to extend our run of Manzoni episodes this coming spring by an additional week, so please keep your ears open for that in March and April of 2024. So I ask you, please do what Wes did and become a Golf Smarter ambassador so that you can receive a free gift of your choice just for telling us where you're from and where you play. Choices include Tony Manzoni's video, a glove and glove storage compartment from redroostergolf.com, and a sleeve of a box. That's a dozen Odin X1 balls with the Golf Smarter logo. All you need to do to get your free gift is write to me directly, and I'll send you some simple instructions on how to record an episode opening that takes less than 1 minute. Check out today's show notes to find links about each gift you have to choose from. And to see and hear the most compelling short nuggets of our podcast interviews, including this one with Bobby Weed, now for both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans, please follow us on social at Golf Smarter. On YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and what's formerly known as Twitter, X. And you'll get our ongoing posts of videos and articles 5 times every week. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for upcoming episodes, or want to join our list of Golf Smarter ambassadors who do receive a free gift, write to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com or click on the Hey Fred button when you visit golfsmarter.com.